Today we're going to be doing a couple of crazy things, guys. In case you didn't know, I'm going to be using this button a lot. I got 11th place at the Las Vegas Regional. Now, I'm not necessarily happy with my placing, and the main reason is because I was at table 4 in the last round. If I would have won that round, I'm confident I would have been maybe like 3rd, maybe 4th, something like that. But it is what it is. Overall, the deck that I played was Kashtira, and I will have an in-depth profile on my channel. 11th place is just first twice. That's exactly what I've been telling people. But I'll have an in-depth profile on my channel for you guys that want to know. This one's going to go into the Inspire channel, which shout out to my boys at Inspire. And if you guys are going on duelingguard.com, make sure you use the code INSPIRE5 for 5% off, guys. That's these type of deck boxes like that and everything else in between. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump on in so I can tell you why I played it. This one's a lot different than your average run-on-the-mill Kashtira deck. I wanted to be special and spicy. And also I wanted to give myself a challenge and a shot against some of the best decks in the meta. Let's go ahead and jump on in, guys. Boom. Here we are. Maybe I should get my sexy face here. Give me 1 second. Hold on, chat. And I'm going to go ahead and allow you guys to comment. Boom. So yeah, now you guys can go ahead and comment as well if you have any questions or whatever regarding why I picked Kashtira and all that other stuff. All right. So, of course, with Kashtira, there's 3 copies of Finra, there's 3 copies of Unicorn, there's 2 Riseheart, and the Ogre. This was all great. Everything, including the Ogre, was amazing. And then there's the Scareclaw Cash. It was just fine. I really don't have anything else to say about that when it comes to the deck in itself. I say the reason why I picked Kashtira is because Unicorn can pick off Link Kribo and also can pick off Promethean Princess. And if you're able to resolve Unicorn to be able to do that, you're in a really good position. Riseheart can banish cards off the top of their deck. It can banish their Populace or Populars. It can banish their Sinful Spoils. I went against a Vanadium player. I banished his Meeks at one point in time. And sometimes, like this card, excuse me, this card by itself wins the game, which is really, really cool. Ogre, I actually did get off Ogre's effect, and I was able to see my opponent's deck and manipulate. The biggest thing is that you get to see your opponent's top 5 cards, so you get to manipulate your board or your strategy in a way where your opponent can't respond, and sometimes you get to find out what they're playing, which is really, really good. And then the Scareclaw Kashtira is for the OTK and the extension. Then there's 3 copies of Pressure Planet and the Terraforming to, make sure I get more cash. And then 3 copies of Birth. This is the best card in the deck. So many players go after this card. I actually think that if Kashtira were to be hit again, it's probably going to be the Birth because this is the best card. It's not good enough to be hit, but this card does so much for the strategy. It allows you to be able to play against Fire King a little bit better because of banishing their cards in the graveyard face down. They always have to play their combo line with this as a threat. And, it keeps on recycling back your Kashtiras. And it allows you to normal summon level 7s, which I did a lot. Next is 2 copies of Birth, or Theosis. I don't think Theosis is a card that you should play 3 of. I think that it's very good at 2. There was never really a time where I was like, dang, I need that 3rd Theosis. Every single time it came up, it was what it was, and it was good when it wasn't. And sometimes it was like, oh, okay, it's a card to discard or whatever. And then the 1 copy of Kashtira Preparations. I actually did resolve the effect to look at the opponent's hand, which I think is incredibly powerful. Like if your opponent is forced to imperm you, you get a free look at their hand and special summon. But a lot of times the trick of this is to allow your opponent to get rid of your Finra whenever they do your board, and then use it to bring back a banished Finra or Unicorn or summon a Finra or Unicorn for hand, so they still have to deal with the threat. So really, really good. I wouldn't change anything about the cash lineup other than potentially playing another Riseheart. I also don't think if you wanted to change it up, you could drop Ogre in Preparations. These cards are optional, guys. It's not really mandatory, but everything else is pretty good. And I would love to have played a 3rd Riseheart because Riseheart's just a really good starter and extender. Next, this is the thing that I did different from every Kashtira Bliss that I've seen. The first thing is that I didn't play Dimension Shifter. I have in-depth analysis on the deck profile that's going to be on my channel. But to put it in the most simplest terms is that, first of all, Snake Eyes, a good Snake Eyes player will play around Dimension Shifter and make you look bad every single time. If they're good, Dimension Shifter does nothing to them. And I expect every opponent that I play against to be really good. The second is that everybody's playing Dimension Shifter. So that means that their deck is unaffected by Dimension Shifter, which means Dimension Shifter is not a good card. So I did play another engine, and again, I don't think that not playing Dimension Shifter is incorrect. I think that if you play Dimension Shifter, obviously you're playing it to win games, but with that mentality that I had, and it wound up working out for me, Dimension Shifter never came up throughout any round that I played, and if it did, my opponent was already playing like pure Snake Eyes, and they played around it regardless. But this engine was really, really fun, and I wanted to be cool by playing something different, so I played the Diabell Star engine. The 1 Diabell Star, 2 Wanted, and the 1 Betrayal. This is a free level 7 monster that you can also normal summon, which gets you a negate. And this card is not Solemn Judgment, but it's damn near close. This card allows you to be able to negate your opponent's cards, which is completely crazy. Like, evenly matches their Snake Eyes cards, and it's a permanent negate too. So if you negate a card like Baron de Fleur, that card won't be able to use any of its effects ever again. So that's what I like about this card. Just the permanent negation from this card is crazy. And this was a level 7, a rank 7, a synchro 10, and a draw engine, because this got you this, which also could, allow you to could cycle this back in to be able to summon this and just do everything else again. This card's crazy, but I got to give a shout out to all of my people on my Twitch for getting me to play this on Master Duel when I made the Spellbook deck. So shout out to you guys. You guys convinced me to play this deck. It was the Spellbook deck that convinced me to play this in Kashtira. That was a terrible deck, but it was really fun to play. Next is 3 copies of Prosperity. That's to be able to search into your cards. Keep in mind, guys, if you're gonna Prosperity, obviously the Diabell Star engine becomes a lot weaker, but to be honest with you, the Diabell Star draw comes as a follow-up. And also, if you Prosperity, you can't do the other line. But it's pretty important to be able to get what you want. Next, for the hand traps. Again, I don't play Shifter. I don't think that Shifter is bad, but I mean, I made a really correct call when it came to Shifter, not playing it in this tournament. But I played 3 Mourner, 3 Effect Veiler, 3 Imperm, 3 Bell, 3 Ash. Every single one of these cards was phenomenal, except for the Ash Blossom. And it's mainly because, like, Ash Blossom in most matchups is decent. It's okay. And in the Fire matchup, I personally think that this card's just really bad because there are times, obviously, I know people were saying, oh, but there's that time where you can use Ash and you can end their turn. You don't play Yu-Gi-Oh cards to stop your opponent some of the time. You play Yu-Gi-Oh cards to stop your opponent all of the time. And some of the times you get punished really bad, especially in this deck, because if they make Promethean Princess, the game, I don't want to say it's over, but it's damn near close, right? So that's why I don't like Ash Blossom right now in this particular deck. And reason why I sided it out against Fire every single time. Have I considered Retaliating Sea? No, I have not even considered it. I don't even remember what it does at this point in time. Also, if you ask, what if we take, that's exactly what they did. Every time I ashed, because obviously if I go game 1 and I draw Ash, I'm going to hit the correct spot. I'm going to hit their Ash effect to summon from deck, or their Oak effect, whatever effect it is to summon them from deck. And then they just go, oh, anyways, summon Diabell Star, summon Extender, make Hida, make Prometheus. And I'm like, it's objectively, if you guys don't fear Promethean, this is a good card still. But if your deck fears Promethean like Cash does, this card is pretty bad. For the extra deck, there's 1 Baron, 1 SP, 2 Leak Spiders. So this is the line that a lot of players go into. I can tell you, I don't go into this line often unless under certain circumstances. 1, I do not fear Nib. If I don't fear Nib, then obviously I make this line. Right now, you should always play into Nib or play under Nib. I play 4 summons any given time, every single turn, every single game. And people were very upset at me because half of my opponents had Nib. So they're like, man, this card's just useless against you. And then you also put them in a really bad spot where, like, do they side out the Nib and let me combo? Or do they keep in the Nib? So some people kept in the Nib, and I still played under 4 summons, and they felt bad. And then some people sided out the Nib, and once I peeped that they didn't play Nib, because you can see how, by certain interactions, you just combo off, and they're like, damn, I should have put in the Nib. So it's up to you. And again, the only time I would, genuinely go into this is if I know I'm playing against fire and I don't have enough hand traps. Because if they do have the nib, you lose. But if you don't do this and get enough hand traps, you lose anyway. So there's that. One Donner. This card's crazy against Snake Eyes because you make it and they can't beat it. Like, especially if it's like 4,500, can't be targeted, unaffected. The only way they beat it is if you activate an effect and they talent it, if they're still playing talents. So this card's completely ridiculous. The Draco Sack, the Shangri-Ira, the Big Eye, the Red Eyes Flare. I made this card actually a lot. This was a last minute addition, but this card came in crazy. One Dark Arm, one Star Slayer. I absolutely hate this card, but I love it at the same time. And one Divine Arsenal, double A Zeus, the Sky Thunder. I used 100% of my extra deck, which I was not expecting for Kashtira, but it actually, every card came up. And I wouldn't, like, if I had to take out cards for other cards, it'd probably start with the Blackluster Soldier. And I think that's the only cuttable card. But this card is pretty much the meta counter to the everything. Next, I did make a couple of mistakes with my side deck. I don't think it changes the outcome of any of my games. But I think one big thing, and if you guys are wondering, should you play hand traps or board breakers, you should 100% play hand traps. At least in certain decks. But if you are playing hand traps, don't play hand traps and then side board breakers. It's like it does not work. With that being said, I kind of didn't do that. And I kind of broke the rule just a little bit because there's obviously stipulations and stuff. But let's go over and see what I got. I got 3 Nibiru because this card does not matter. If you nib your opponent, you can then summon a hand trap, link it off into Donner Mummy, then destroy the nib token, and then summon your cash. That's the reason behind Nibiru. 3 Droll. This card was crazy good against search decks. 3 Shifter. I sided the Shifter. I'm not even going to cap. This card never mattered. Like, even when I did go against Snake Eyes, I would Shifter them. They'd be like, oh, anyways, Field Spell, put the Flame Urge, do the whole combo, or summon the What's the Name, and the next turn they're summoning out the Oak to get all their cards back. So, like, I don't think that Dimension Shifter is a terrible Yu-Gi-Oh card, but my experience with Dimension Shifter has not been, like, amazing. The board breaker cards that I played that I don't regret is Duster and Lightning Storm. And it's because Cash is completely terrible against back row heavy decks. Also, I expected TJ to be in the top tables with me. And I auto lose to TJ when he's playing Rescue. When that man, if he's in the top tables in the last round, he's on. And when TJ turns on, he's impossible to beat. Unless, like, you draw, like, the combo. And he was playing Racist. So, like, he was literally the only person that I was like, okay, if it's last round, and I gotta have something for him. So this was really just for back row decks, but more so for TJ. Shout out to my mans. And then the cards that I probably shouldn't have played is 2 Tactics and a Call By. This should have been 3 copies of Ghost Ogre. These cards were not good. And the main reason is because when they hand trap me and I tactics them, I always went for hand. And then I realized that I was not in a cocky way, but I realized, I was going to win anyways. Tactics didn't really do anything. Or, you have multiple pieces of engine. It doesn't matter what you hit. Like, this deck can't combo past being hand-trapped a lot of the times. A lot of the times, you just simplify the game state, and then you go next turn. And that's not what Talents is good at. Talents is better for decks that want to be able, either mid-range or combo decks, that want to be able to peek at their hand and get rid of an important card and keep playing. And this deck doesn't do that. So that's why I regret these. And I ain't gonna lie, this one wasn't bad, but I sided it not for hand traps. I sided it from Promethean Princess. So put this card at 3 so we can stop Promethean Princess. That's all I got. If you guys have any questions, TJ and Races are pretty much inseparable. Holy crap. That's pretty much what I got, though. Shout out to my boy TJ. He was my testing partner throughout the entire thing for the regional. My boy Wesley, my other testing partner. He showed me how to beat Voiceless Voice. Shout out to Bird. She was my testing partner for how to beat Fluenderies. I actually played against 2 Fluenderies players, amazing players. And Bird told me that pretty much her deck's annoying. So I confirmed that. Shout out to my boy Jordan. He keeps the gains going. Shout out to my boy Owen. Shout out to Trey. Shout out to the whole Inspire team. You guys are crazy good. Shout out to chat. I appreciate you guys and my fans. I love you guys. You guys have pushed me forward. And you guys want me, or you guys have made me into the duelist that I am today. Next time, we're getting first place, guys. No exceptions. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.